Megacity Pyramid. Tokyo is one of the most crowded cities on Earth. With more than 37 million people in its metropolitan area and almost no empty land left to expand into, Japan's engineers have been searching for creative ways to make space. In 2004, the Shimizu Corporation proposed the Megacity Pyramid, a massive structure that would rise directly above Tokyo Bay, standing 2,004 meters tall, more than twice the height of the Burj Khalifa. It was designed to house up to 1 million people inside a geometric lattice shaped like a pyramid. The outer skeleton would be made from lightweight carbon nanotubes, a material theoretically strong enough to hold its own weight at that scale. Inside, smaller skyscrapers would hang suspended from the pyramid's internal frame like buildings within a building. The entire city would run on solar energy and natural ventilation, powered by massive panels covering its exterior. Le Corbusier's Radiant City. In the 1920s, Le Corbusier proposed something he called the Radiant City, a design that aimed to reorganize urban life by building upward instead of outward. His plan looked like this: 40 to 60-story towers placed in perfect grids, surrounded by open green parks. Each tower would have apartments, offices, and communal spaces, all connected by elevated walkways and wide boulevards. The streets below would be reserved for cars, while pedestrians lived above the noise and pollution. The idea wasn't about beauty, it was about efficiency and control. Le Corbusier believed that if you designed a city scientifically, you could eliminate chaos. Everyone would have access to light, air, and greenery, something early 20th century cities seriously lacked. And while no one ever built the Radiant City exactly as he imagined, his work planted a seed, the dream of a single, vertical structure that could contain an entire society. The Ultima Tower. In the 1990s, architect Eugene Sui proposed something that sounded almost impossible: a skyscraper taller than any mountain in the continental United States. His design, called the Ultima Tower, would stand 3,218 meters tall, or about 2 miles high. Sui's inspiration came from nature, specifically termite mounds. These tall, naturally ventilated structures built by insects in Africa and Australia can regulate temperature and airflow without mechanical systems. Sui believed human cities could do the same, using biological design instead of brute force engineering. The Ultima Tower would house up to 1 million people, forming a self-sustaining ecosystem inside. Its tapered shape would help it resist wind, while a system of internal turbines would generate electricity. Water would come from condensation collected from the atmosphere, and hydroponic farms would provide food within the structure itself. The tower's base alone would span nearly 2.4 kilometers or 1.5 miles in diameter, containing parks, schools, and commercial centers stacked vertically in layers. Sui described it as a solution to both overpopulation and environmental damage. Sky City 1000. By the late 1980s, Japan's economy was soaring, and so were its ambitions. Land prices in Tokyo had become some of the highest in the world. In some districts, a single square meter cost more than an entire house in the United States. To solve that, the Takanaka Corporation proposed something extraordinary: a vertical metropolis called Sky City 1000. The design was unveiled in 1989, right before Japan's economic bubble burst. The structure would stand 1,000 meters tall or 0.62 miles, about 3 times the height of the Eiffel Tower, and cover more than 8 square kilometers, about 3 square miles of floor space. Inside, it could accommodate 36,000 residents and provide office space for another 100,000 workers. Sky City was divided into space plateaus, enormous horizontal sections stacked every 100 meters, about 328 feet. Each plateau would act as a self-contained neighborhood. Vertical and diagonal elevators would connect the layers, and an internal monorail would move people horizontally across the massive platforms. The Line. In the deserts of northwest Saudi Arabia, a project unlike anything on Earth is taking shape. It's called The Line, part of the massive NEOM development, and it's the world's most ambitious attempt to create a functioning vertical city. Instead of spreading out like a traditional metropolis, the line stretches 170 kilometers or 105 miles in a straight line, but it's only 200 meters or 656 feet wide and 500 meters or 1,640 feet tall, roughly the height of the Empire State Building laid on its side. Inside that narrow footprint, the project aims to house up to 9 million people. The idea is simple but radical. Stack the entire city vertically. One layer is for pedestrians, one for services, and one for transportation, including a high-speed rail line that would travel end to end in just 20 minutes. There are no cars, no roads, and no carbon emissions. Everything from housing to healthcare would be powered by renewable energy. Construction has already started. Satellite images show excavations along parts of the proposed route, though recent reports suggest the initial phase might accommodate closer to 300,000 to 400,000 people rather than the full 9 million. The Exceed 4000. In the 1990s, Japan became home to some of the most ambitious architectural proposals ever imagined, and none were more extreme than the Exceed 4000. Designed by Taisei Corporation in 1995, it was meant to be the tallest structure in human history, 4,000 meters tall or 2.5 miles high. To put that in perspective, the Exceed would be 5 times taller than the Burj Khalifa and reach well into the lower atmosphere, where air pressure drops, oxygen thins, and temperatures approach freezing. It wasn't just a skyscraper, it was a man-made mountain designed to house up to 1 million people. The plan placed the megastructure directly above Tokyo Bay, supported by an enormous circular base, 6 kilometers, about 3.72 miles wide. Inside, entire districts would stack vertically. Residential, commercial, industrial, and agricultural zones, each designed to operate semi-independently. Elevators would take hours to travel from the base to the summit, and the building would have its own weather variations due to its height. Taisei's engineers calculated that the project would require over 3 million tons of steel and cost at least $1 trillion in the 1990s. The Sky Mile Tower. After the Exceed 4000, Japan's architects didn't abandon the dream of a vertical city. They made it more realistic. In 2015, the Kohn Pedersen Fox, KPF architecture firm, along with Leslie E. Robertson Associates, revealed a new concept for Tokyo Bay, the Sky Mile Tower. The design was part of a larger urban vision called Next Tokyo 2045. It proposed a cluster of futuristic islands built to withstand rising sea levels while housing over 500,000 people. At the center of it all stood the Sky Mile Tower, a structure about 1,700 meters tall, or roughly 1 mile high, designed to accommodate 55,000 residents. Unlike the Exceed, this concept focused on function. The tower would feature multiple vertical neighborhoods, each with public spaces, shops, and parks. Instead of relying entirely on external resources, it would collect fresh water directly from clouds through atmospheric condensation, while wind turbines and solar panels embedded in its design would power its systems. The Sky Mile Tower also introduced new thinking about transport inside super-tall buildings. Traditional elevators wouldn't work efficiently at that height, so engineers proposed multi-directional elevator pods that could move both vertically and horizontally, powered by magnetic levitation, an idea now being tested by companies like ThyssenKrupp. The Hyper Tower Concepts. In the 2020s, the idea of a vertical city began shifting from steel and concrete to something much more organic. Architects and engineers started asking a different question, not how tall a city can be, but how alive it can be. Firms like SOM, BIG, and Neri Oxman Studio began developing what they call hyper towers, massive vertical ecosystems designed to produce more energy than they consume. These are not just smart buildings, they're self-healing, self-cooling, and carbon negative. One of the most influential ideas came from Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill, SOM, with their urban sequoia concept. It's a skyscraper designed to absorb CO2 from the atmosphere using algae-based bioconcrete and carbon-capturing facade systems. The more towers that are built, the cleaner the surrounding air becomes. SOM estimated that a cluster of these towers could offset hundreds of thousands of tons of carbon per year. Meanwhile, Bjarke Ingels Group has been experimenting with AI-generated urban forms, creating modular towers that adapt their shape depending on sunlight, population density, and airflow. These buildings can literally redesign themselves over time. And then there's Neri Oxman, whose BioCity concept proposes towers grown from biological materials, structures that could one day regenerate instead of being demolished. These ideas may sound experimental, but they mark a turning point in vertical urbanism.